some people don't care how they make it, right? They don't care if they provide a positive value or good vibes in the world or do any good. They don't care if they scam people or not. They just want to get that money. And I don't want people like that to be able to 10x their process, 10x their process, 10x their process.
90% of
conversational marketing.
They didn't see you.
I think a real game changer.
The marketing automation discussion. This is the marketing automation discussion, and I am your grateful host, Alex Glenn. Today, we are going to be talking about automated lead prospecting system, specific system that my guest today will highlight and has some tremendous experience with. So what you'll need to build this system are a few tools. You may know Zapier. We talk a lot about Zapier, but you'll need RoboContact.io. You'll also need Text in Bolt and again, Zapier to get this automation done. Now, my guest today that's going to tell us how this works and what it's done for him is none other than Jon Vaughn. Now, Jon Vaughn is a genius level software engineer turned entrepreneur. He is now the founder and CEO of the software development firm. Tier5 specializes in building high-end SaaS applications for clients. So I invited Jon to join the podcast based on a video that I found in one of our mutual groups. Jon has some tremendous insights on all areas of the business. Jon, why don't you go ahead and let me know if I missed anything in the introduction and then set the premise for us.
I don't really like to refer to myself as a genius. I like to think I'm a little bit more humble than that. But, other than that, I think you're pretty spot on.
Why don't you tell the listeners what situation your business could be in that warrants this type of automation that we're going to discuss?
Yeah, sure. So first I'll just kind of tell you the situation and then do what I'm going to give a disclaimer that I give to everybody. I am a software engineer and I am not a marketer whatsoever. Okay. But I've heard from marketers, I'm supposed to tell stories. So the situation is, you really want to scale your business, right? You didn't start a business for no reason. You want to scale it. You want to grow it. But whenever you start out, you don't really have a lot of money for ads. And you definitely don't want to spend a huge amount of time trying to find leads and prospecting. What you want to be doing is closing sales and getting new clients and growing your business, right? So that's the situation. And, I really found myself in that situation, I guess now, almost 3 years ago. Come December, it will be about 3 years since, I actually went out on my own, decided to actually open an office and start hiring people. So let me just tell you a little backstory on that, okay? I was working as a project manager for a pretty high-end software firm, making a really, really nice salary, upwards $170K a year. And some personal stuff happened with my dad and everything. Anyways, I ended up quitting my job, going remote and working for my company for a little bit and then transitioning back into the life of a developer and being a freelance developer. So one of the first clients I got as a freelancer I was working with, and he had me managing a team of developers overseas in India. So I was managing his team. He had a pretty big software project. We had 5 developers on his team. And I had already, fortunately for me, the company that I worked at before working with him, they had actually sent me over to India to go through and find companies that they could outsource their software development to. All right. So I'd already been over there. And he had actually made the suggestion that it would be easier and he was joking about it, of course, that if I just lived in India. And I was like, well, I've been there. I've actually got a business visa, so I'll go. So to make a long story short, I go over to India. I'm managing his team. And he springs me with another little joke, right? And he was like, you know what, Jon, it will actually be more efficient if we just start our own company, and instead of hiring these other companies, we just start our own. You hire the developers, we'll be able to get a lot more work done. It will be cheaper. We'll make a lot of money. You manage everything. I'll pay you, and I'll be on bankroll for everything. I'll cover the entire cost of everything. All your operating costs will be covered. You don't have to worry about that. It sounded like a great deal. I remember I came from a professional background, but I wasn't really an entrepreneur or into business. So I was naive and I listened to him and I was like, yeah, let's do that. So took a bunch of risks, got an office, started a company, hired 6 developers for him. And first month that bill came to pay everything and pretty much crickets. So yeah, I was partnered with somebody who was supposed to pay all my bills and cover the cost of everything. And, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not a marketing person. and he's supposed to cover the cost, and I'm just supposed to manage the software project and the developers. And then bam, he's gone. So literally, I've got some money, sure, because I'm smart enough to save up my money while I have a job and stuff. But here I am now. I've got a company. This guy, his name's Dwayne. He's still a good friend of mine, even though everything happened like it did. He had made me a promise, and he for his own reasons, not because he's a bad guy, he for his own reasons didn't actually get the finances that he thought he was going to get, so he couldn't actually execute. So here I am. I've already taken the risk. I've already hired a bunch of people, and I can't say I'm a people person, but I do have a heart, and I do care about people. And I can't be the type of person that you come work for my company and you leave your company, you leave your job stability that you've worked for 3 or 4 years to come work for me, and after the first month it's over. What type of person would I be if I let that happen? So I'm literally I'm going crazy, so stressed out because I think I've got a financial backer that's going to cover everything, and he just disappears, and now it's all my risk, right? It's all up to me. And I'm not a sales guy. I'm not a marketer. So now all of a sudden I need clients. Like I physically need them, because if not, I'm going to bleed out my savings that I've worked hard for. Either that, or I just close the company. And now I've got 6 people there that have trusted me and came to work for me. And now they're out of a job again, and they all have families. So I can't do that. So you can understand the situation that I'm in. All right. So I need to grow. I need to scale. So I know what I'm good at, software engineering. So I go to the internet, I start Googling software development firms, and literally what I start doing is I start Googling software development firms where I went to college at, right? Where this partner of mine, this so-called partner of mine, actually lived and was at, because he, like I said, it wasn't his fault. And we were still on good terms. There's nothing he can do about it, but still, it was a huge issue. So where he's at, he can give me a personal reference, right? So that's what I start doing. I go to the internet, start Googling software development firms, start going to their website, finding their email address, submitting, their contact us form, saying, hey, I'm a remote developer. I'm looking for a job. You guys hire remote. And I start doing this, and I spend like the entire day doing it. And I do this, 3-4 weeks to no end, and finally get a job. All right. And it's a pretty decent job, all things considering. It pays about $70,000 a year. It's not quite what I'm used to, but it actually, at my time, just that one job alone actually covered my entire operational expense, because of what we would consider economies of scale, and the fact that I packed up and left a first world country to go to a third world country where you just have, economics where things just are cheaper and the cost of living is cheaper. All right. So I've done this, like I said, for 4 weeks, and it produces one client. That one client can actually cover my cost to operations. So I get this thought, like, let's do it again. So now this time I'm doing the same thing. And like I said, all I'm doing here is I'm just doing cold outreach to these people. I'm Googling software development firms. I'm finding them in bulk from Google Places. Google just gives us that information. I'm finding their phone number. I'm going to their website. I'm finding their email. I'm going to their contact us form. I'm submitting their contact us form. I'm sending them out an initial email, just something short saying, hey, I'm a software developer. I'm looking for a remote position. Do you guys offer that, right? And this starts starting conversations, and from these conversations, I start having phone calls with them and doing this whole courtship of what I don't know what to do, which is sales and marketing. I start getting jobs. So I get another job this way, and then I get another job this way. All right. So I'm doing this, and I'm having some success. I'm getting clients, and now I'm profitable. But you know what I'm really doing? I'm spending all of my time. And like I said, I'm going to say it again. I'm not a marketer. I'm not a sales dude. I'm a software engineer. I went to college. I got 2 degrees in computer engineering, not because I wanted to do sales, not because I wanted to do marketing, but because I really wanted to change the world with technology. And to me, software was the one way to do that. Okay. But here I am all day, every day. I'm spending my entire day doing something I am not passionate about. I don't want to do, because I have to do it, because it's my responsibility now as a business owner. Right. And I'm completely unhappy. Totally dissatisfied. I'm getting results, sure, and I'm making money, sure. And my company's growing slowly. We're not sinking. We're growing. We got some green. We're making a little bit of growth. But I'm just not happy with the situation. I want to be programming. I want to be in the tech. So then it dawned on me. Like I'm an engineer. I've got, at this point, I've got 8 engineers that work for me. Surely we can build a software that will do this. So we got 4 clients at the time. I've got 6 dudes that are taking care of those 4 clients, managing them stuff. So me and the other 2 dudes, we set out to build a software that can do this. Here comes RoboContact, all right? RoboContact's the first piece of the puzzle because RoboContact, that's essentially what it does. And RoboContact, all you do is you go in and say, hey, I want to target in Indianapolis, Indiana, which is where one of the campuses that I went to college at because I'm an IU grad. So I'm going to target Indianapolis, Indiana. I want to target software development firms, all right? Or I want to target every city in Indiana, and I want to target software development firms. And then bam, that software goes out to Google Places. It grabs from their API all the leads. So within a list of seconds, you got, within a list of seconds, you literally have 100 leads there, all right? The same thing that would have taken me literally 3 or 4 days to do on my own. Now this software is just done for me in the matter of 60 seconds, all right? So here comes the next piece. Now what do I need to do? Now I need to literally go out and write a software that will go out to each and every single one of their websites, look on their website, find all their email addresses, find their contact us form, and submit automatically my initial outreach message. Just my little small message that is just saying, hey, I'm a software engineer. I'm looking for a remote job. Do you guys offer that? So there's the second piece of the software. It goes out, it finds all the leads, and then it just goes out to their websites. It finds their email address, and it finds their contact us form, and it essentially grabs your message and your profile information, sticks it in their contact us form, automatically submits it for you. Unless there's like a complex CAPTCHA. If there's a complex CAPTCHA, it just gives you a notification with a nice little link to the CAPTCHA so you can go there and fill it out manually. And then it grabs their emails and it automates sending out your email. All right. So here's the first piece. So now I'm doing this. And as you can imagine, again, I'm not a marketer. I'm not a sales dude. I'm not really equipped to deal with all this. So I'm just going crazy, right? I'm just going in like every place now in the United States. I'm targeting software engineering firms. I'm getting all these leads, and I'm sending out all these contacts, right? And now what starts happening? Now my phone starts ringing like crazy. Now I got all these people calling me, wanting to talk to me more, all right? And what I find out is now you know what I'm doing? Now I'm wasting all my time on the phone. I'm wasting all my time on the phone talking to people, even talking to companies that don't have, they don't offer anything remote. And it was like, I didn't even understand that some company would call me and they would have a 7-minute conversation with me just to tell me that they don't offer remote positions. All right. So I'm spending all my time doing this. All right. So I think, again, I go back to what I'm good at, software. So I think, there's got to be a software that can help me with this. And there's not. At least not something that I can find, not something that I can afford. So again, I'm an engineer. I've got software engineers. I say, hey, look, we've got to make something that can help me with this. So in comes text in bulk. We make text in bulk, and what text in bulk allows me to do is, well now in today's state, because keep in mind, this is like almost 3 years ago, and we've been constantly improving these systems since then. But at that stage, text in bulk, all it was essentially an IVR, right? An interactive voice response. It was, from my perspective as a math guy and an engineer, it's a decision tree, okay? From a business perspective, it's my method of pre-qualification, all right? It is all the necessary questions that I need to ask my prospect, and they need to answer a certain way for them to actually be my dream client and for them to actually be somebody who is actually qualified to buy my service, ready to purchase my service, and not only qualified and not only ready to purchase my service, but they are the type of client that I actually want to work with, my ideal avatar, all right? So now that's what this IVR does. This IVR allows them to call me, and when they call me and they get on my phone, they don't actually speak to me. They speak to a recorded voice of me that actually walks them through my pre-qualification process. It asks them questions, and then it asks them to respond with input to those questions. Like the first question for me is I verify that they are calling from a software development firm. All right. Now they verify they're calling from a software development firm. And then the next question, guess what it is? I get them to verify that they offer remote positions. If they don't offer remote positions, I don't want to work with them because I live overseas at this point. All right. So this is the complete separate process of text in bulk. All right. So now once I finish this up, once I finish this process up, now there is this piece in the middle called Zapier. All right. And Zapier, essentially what Zapier is you can think of Zapier as the glue of the internet, all right? Because what Zapier allows you to do is you have all these applications that you use, and Zapier just allows you to connect these guys together, all right? So I've got these two different softwares. do I want to spend the time and resources to actually couple them together natively, or do I just want to use a pre-built third-party system that doesn't cost me a whole lot of money, that's actually going to save me a lot of time and allow me to do this now instead of having to pay for it and wait 2 weeks to get engineers and go in and actually build this integrations ourselves. All right, so we use Zapier. Zapier essentially, like I said, is the glue of the internet. It allows different applications to talk to each other, and it sits right between RoboContact and Text in Bulk. When RoboContact goes out and grabs my lead and is able to actually do the initial cold outreach, then it sends that data out to Zapier. Zapier grabs that information, sends that data into Text in Bulk, and then Text in Bulk essentially starts my follow-up sequence where I can go in and send messages out to these people, follow up with these people with these software companies, follow up with them with like a 7-day email sequence, maybe a couple outbound phone calls to them to let them know, hey, this is John, because it allows you to do that too. It allows you to send pre-recorded phone calls, all of which are essentially asking them to give me a call to talk about a remote position. And whenever they call me, they go into my IVR system, my decision tree that pre-qualifies them to get them to actually answer the questions that I need answered for me to gauge what I would typically do live on the phone with them, whether we would be able to work together and whether the model that I want to work in is a model that they actually want to work in and they are indeed my perfect avatar. All right. All of this stuff I used to do manually. Now I have a software system. It is comprised of 3 different softwares, and now if you want to go a little bit deeper, since then I've refined that so much, and I've added an extra layer and an extra tool to actually personalize this to these software companies to make it look like I actually spent a lot more time trying to court them, because whenever they go now to a page about me to see reviews from my clients and to see my skills and my services, they can also have content served up directly to them. I can mention their name, I can mention their company, and it looks like I spent time creating something personal for them, when in fact I didn't. When in fact it's just one generic thing for all software companies, and then I just use a software to rewrite what the data and the content on the page so that it's relative to them whenever they come there. All right. So now, like I said, all this I'm doing before. I'm doing this all manually, and now I have software systems to do it. And now essentially what's happening at this point in my company is I'm back with my team. I'm in the roots where I want to be. I'm sitting there writing code myself. I'm programming because it's what I really love to do. It's what I really have a passion to do. And every so often, I'll hear my phone ring, and I'll go pick it up. And whenever I go pick it up, I know that the person that's on the other side of that phone is ready to buy, and all I have to do is close them now. I don't have to waste any of my time pre-qualifying them. I don't have to waste any of my time listening to them scream at me because they don't want to talk to me, and they don't think it's right that I just emailed them out of the blue. I don't have to waste any time except for actually closing people. Now, obviously, like I said, I'm not a sales dude. I'm not a marketer, so I'm not going to close 100% of people. But what it allowed me to do is get back into what I'm passionate about and stop wasting all my time doing the things that I don't actually want to do. And I think the main thing that it allowed me to do, obviously outside of scale my company from 6 engineers at the time to now over 40 software engineers that work for me in the course of a little less than 3 years, what it really allowed me to do is keep my head up, right? And not actually have to go through and contact 50 people a day and hear them say, no, we don't hire, we don't hire remote developers. No, we're not looking for a remote developer, and get that demotivation of hearing no and rejection all day, every day. Now by the time I talk to somebody on the phone, I already know they do hire remote developers and they're willing to work with a remote developer. And all I actually have to do is close that sale. And it became easier for me to actually close these sales. So that essentially is the software automation system that I set up to go from having just a company with 6 developers being over my head, having no clients, but just the one that completely bailed on me and left me on the hook for the entire operating cost of the company whenever he did agree to pay for all that, to actually now having a profitable company with more than 40 full-time software engineers on staff.
Real quick, I've got RoboContact, Text in Bulk, keyword grab for remote devs. Can you do this for me? Can you connect the dots between when you actually have a database of potential customers, you've got them into maybe Text in Bulk to start the sending? Can you connect the dots between where messages go out and how you actually filter for anyone who has remote devs? and then connect the dots between getting those contacts sort of filtered by who has remote devs versus who hasn't, getting those people into the CRM in a situation where you may have SDRs or account executives doing this, and then generating that inbound call that you mentioned.
It's the main job of the IVR. So the IVR is that decision tree. So what happens is in these outbound messages, I'm just asking them to give me a call. And whenever they give me a call, they go into my IVR, and I specifically ask them in my IVR, if they hire remote devs, press 1. If they don't hire remote devs, press 2. And whenever they press 1 that they do hire remote devs, it takes them off of, like, let's say like a new leads list and puts them onto a hot leads list, so that I can go back in and I can see, okay, hey, all of these people, well, that's one of the functions that it does. The end result, what it does is actually gets them on the phone with me. But during the process of them going through that qualification and they say, yes, we do hire remote devs, so I'm going to press 1. Now what happens is they get moved from one list to another list, so I can segregate them and segment them. But then they also continue on their process where, I also pre-qualify them obviously for budget and make sure that they're actually able to afford somebody who's used to making the same amount of money that I made when I worked in the professional industry. All right. So essentially just with an automation through that decision tree, like I said, they hear audio on the phone that basically says, do you guys hire remote developers? If you do, press 1. If you don't hire remote developers, press 2. And when they give me that input and they press 1, confirming that they do hire remote developers, I just essentially tag them. I move them from one list to another list.
Yeah, that's where I was lost a little bit. So I wanted to clarify that. The IVR is the decision tree that allows you to segment and tag. So in a automated version of this, you would maybe have a custom intercom bot on your site. And overnight, that decision tree would weed people between the prospects that you want to call the next day, prospects you want to put into a general drip campaign to maybe nurture them into more valuable prospects, and then run internal triggers to go ahead and notify SDRs to call those people as soon as they hit their desk in the morning, and also run those drip email sequences to anyone and everyone that comes through that decision tree, maybe a different email sequence depending on what tag they get. So then those are in your CRM. SDRs have their question and those answers in their profile, and they are in some sort of a nurturing sequence. And then any of the high priority leads are tagged accordingly, and the internal automation action items are set so that your team can go ahead and prioritize and close some deals every single day. The situation and the use case that I'm thinking this is perfectly applicable for is a platform with an intercom build that does need a bot to go ahead and pre-screen customers overnight and then place them into the SDR's to-dos with notes from whatever happened in that bot, and then go ahead and run some automations on the messaging side as well. So robo contact to go ahead and get the list built. We have the text in bulk to go ahead and set up an IVR build. We're going to add this process in the notes. Jon will be available to build out this system and create custom software for your businesses in the process. So I'll show the page that offer is on. So thank you very much for that. All right, Jon. So just to recap, the automation that you just discussed starts off with text in bulk. You're going to go ahead and find those audience members by running the search in text in bulk. You're going to actually use RoboContact for some of the outreach. You're going to push them into an IVR decision tree to go ahead and press 1 if blank, press 2 if blank. Based on the responses to that IVR, you're going to trigger internal automations to notify the sales team or yourself to go ahead and pick up the phone and call those prospects, as well as possibly some drip sequences, some automated nurturing sequences for anyone that doesn't quite meet the specifications or isn't a high priority. Now, Jon, why don't you tell everyone how you would like them to get in touch with you?
LinkedIn, Facebook, either one's fine. If you're an entrepreneur that really wants to do good in the world, and you have bright ideals, and you really want to inspire some positive change in the world, then you definitely come meet me personally. Those types of people I love to meet personally. Everybody else, you definitely can connect with me on LinkedIn and Facebook. I'm pretty receptive on Facebook most of the time.
Thank you, Jon. This has been exciting. This has been wonderful. It's been enlightening, as always. I look forward to seeing everything you do on Facebook and everything coming out of Tier 5 in the future. Let's do this again soon. Bye.
90% conversational marketing.
They didn't see you, man.
I think a real game changer.
The marketing automation discussion.